Whoops. Okay, Vermont history students, I'll try to keep this one real short. We are on Unit 11 at the beginning of this week, the last week of the semester, and the point, if I teach this class on campus in the summer, as I usually do, second to last class, we take it from the 1970s to the Take Back Vermont movement explosion around 2000 and take it up to about 2002 or 2003. And then the final class, I'll do a video for that, but it's kind of complicated in an online context. We'll see what happens. But what I would get across to you in the second to last class is that Vermont is a very neurotic. To this day, it's such a crazy mixed up state, which is what's really cool about it, as we grapple to try to reconcile freedom and unity. By the way, I have received one assessment paper so far. I need 3 spaced out over time. Email me, ask me questions. Grading is due by Monday, a week from today. I'd like to do it Friday. I have kind of a crazy week also. I have advising at Linden on Tuesday and Friday, and on Thursday I'm going to be in Burlington. And then Wednesday's messy a little bit too, but normally as the summer class has been going on, believe it or not, I check the discussion board frequently, and like I try to hit it at least an hour, every hour between like 9 and 5 during the 5 days of the week. And I've done a lot of work on it. I'm kind of transitioning out of it now. The unit outlines are up and ready to go. So anyway, I hope that you will be very active this week, and I'll do my best to respond as quickly as possible. And the last town meeting is up. I got no suggestions for what topics you wanted to vote about, so I chose 3 that we did. I chose some on my own. Okay. The wraparound story, the story that illustrates where you want to go with the first section of the class, is actually a work of fiction. It's an article, a chapter from a book by Wallace Stegner called Crossing to Safety. I'd like for you to read that. It doesn't take long, but the punchline is that the guy who is courting this daughter of this family, academic family, don't think he has any money. Turns out he's rich as Midas. And what he does is he buys up the opposite side of the bank of the lake where his beloved has a summer home, so that it can't be developed. And it used to be like in the Gilded Age model, uphillers like things the way they were, downhillers like progress. And what you see is the state's becoming very opposite that. I mean, I tried to illustrate that for you early on in the semester. The uphill-downhill dynamic is never stable, and sometimes it can evolve in a way that they want completely opposite things. The opposite thing from what they wanted before. It was true of alcohol, which uphillers opposed prohibition in 1853. They supported prohibition in 1902, downhillers vice versa. Think of it in terms of farming. As Vermont gets this really big environmental ethic, which is what Bread and Puppet and the hippie communes and the Ben and Jerry's, what all these things are about, as Vermont gets, downhillers have that environmentalist, small is beautiful ethic. Downhillers came to farm the way that uphillers used to, on a small scale, organically, etc. Whereas uphillers now farm in downhill ways. They have no choice. The number of dairy farms has plummeted over the last half century, and in order to make dairy farming work, you have to have an economy of scale. You have to have a lot of cows, more and more all the time. So downhillers farm in the way that uphillers used to, and uphillers farm like downhillers. Vermont's neurotic. It's just that way. Which would make you wonder, if downhillers want what uphillers had, then that would be unity, right? And that would be cool, and we've finally gotten there. Except, of course, the summer tourism, when it kicked in the 1890s, introduced this ethic that it's not just that downhillers want to preserve old traditional Vermont. In order to preserve it, you need to change. You need to not only beautify it and make it an idealized version, a version right out of Vermont Life magazine, but also you need all sorts of regulations and rules and bureaucracies and levels of government and things, agencies, and sacrifices on the part of people in order so that growth can be managed and Vermont can retain its traditional landscape. Which makes you sometimes wonder exactly what it is that we're in the end saving if so much of traditional Vermont is lost in order to save traditional Vermont. You know what I mean? Vermont's like that. It's screwed up, and that's the cool thing about it. And what was really cool about it was the Take Back Vermont movement that began about 1999 when the Vermont State Supreme Court ruled that Vermont needed to give the same legal rights to homosexual couples as same-sex couples. And I want you to look at the pictures, the images in the folder. I want you to look at some of the primary documents or whatever. Look at the, read up about it. Do a search on Take Back Vermont in quotations on Google and learn all about it. It was a fascinating, great, cool era in Vermont history, about 1999 to 2002. I have a clipping file like that of people arguing about who is and who isn't a Vermonter and who has a right to participate in the discussion. And it was like the culmination of 40 years of regulation and outsiders moving in and the state having to adjust to the real sort of dynamics of the interstate age, the interstate highway era, and interstate being used both metaphorically as well as practically. And it was just a fascinating era, the Take Back Vermont era. And I want you to be able to interpret it for me, so have a look at the question in the appropriate Unit 11 discussion question, and please give me your response. And if you need any elaboration on what was going on, I'd be happy to supply it by email, or I'd make another video for you. Okay? Bye.